Narrative. What's your story?
To my younger self, what's your story?
To my younger self.
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 To my younger self. To my younger self.
To my younger self. What's your story? To my younger self. What's your story?
Hello and good morning. How is everybody doing? It is so good to see you. My name is Zoe Baraka. And of course, today is the second day of spring. So you can imagine just how excited I am. I'm so excited. Welcome to the show. The show is To My Younger Self. And of course, my name is Zoe Baraka. This is a show where we tell stories from the past that will propel us into the future. If you just joined us, just say hello to me, say what's up, greet me in your local dialect. I do want to hear from you, okay? Alrighty, as always, we're always just, kind of going around Africa and greeting each other in different languages and dialects and stuff like that. I want to hear from you from your native dialect, okay? With that being said, baraka dazwa to you, sanunku dazwa yayade, kakwana lafia. I really, really hope you slept well. It is so good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. I just greeted you in the Hausa dialect. Listen, before we continue kind of greeting each other in different dialects, in different languages in Africa, do me a big favor. First, announce yourself. Tell me you're here so I can properly acknowledge you. And then second, I want you to go into that, on your screen, just at the bottom. Just go on there and please, please, please hit the share button. Share with your friends, share with your families. I do not imagine that you have enemies, but hey, if you have enemies, share with them. Or maybe your friends have enemies because you're too good. You don't have enemies, right? Just share, 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 okay? Let people know that the great Michael Aboya is here and we are about to just plunge in and have some incredible, inspiring storytelling times. Ya ken tuma fuduwela tipose wanambaraka. It is good to see you. Tuma awela. I just greeted you in my father tongue, the Kosal. It is good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. And dinao to you if you speak Efe, Aleke, Afua. It is good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us at Tuseng Akwaba Unte Den Yamawachi. We're greeting you in different dialects, in different different dialects of the Akan language. I greeted you in Fanti, Achim, and of course Chi. It is good to see you. Saubonani to you if you speak Zulu. Bella to you Ibio Kibari if you speak Mori. Te Oyo Tang Oje Ko to you if you speak Ga. Thank you for joining us. Lale to you if you speak Chadian Arabic. Itwam Afe to you. How are you doing? Salam alaikum. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. Ekaro, ekabo to you if you speak Yoruba. Listen, I love the Yoruba. They are just fun people to be around. You know what I mean? One of my very good friends is Yoruba and I just love partying with them and just swapping, African stories with them. Nagadef to you. Let me tell you guys, this weekend or the past weekend really, I met a woman who was dressed in her regalia, the Senegalese regalia. I felt like I was in Senegal right here in the United States. Incredible, incredible. I just love them. Nagadef to you. It is good to see you. I just greeted you in one of my favorite languages, Wolof. Jambo to you. Habari gani. Habari ya usibwe. Karibu sana. It is good to see you. How are you? I just greeted you in my affiliated language, Swahili. Most people think that I am from Kenya or some part of East Africa, which is really cool. I like it. I like being a citizen of Africa. Katong to you, Amohalang to you, Seso. I just greeted you in Sesotho. Nyasi to you, Aloy Domilake. It is good to see you, the Besa people of Ghana and Burkina Faso. Nkotoli to you. If you speak for Foldi, we just greeted you. To all of our Fulani friends, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us. Akeyi to you. We're always paying homage to our Creole friends of Ayiti Sherry. It is good, it is good, it is good that you guys just join us every day so we can swap stories. We all know the history there, right? We do. Bom dia to you. If you speak Portuguese, bonjour to you, buongiorno, buenos dias, and of course, imaraba to you. It is so, so, so good to see you. Listen, I'm very excited today. So as you can see, I'm running, right? Let's go and see who is in the room before I introduce our guest of honor. Okay. Ooh, we have the Switzerlanders here today. Good afternoon to you, Ralia. It is good to see you. Looks like it's a family affair today. Where is everybody? Please, just pause and just share. I see a few of you in here who are not announcing yourself. Don't do that. We're communal people. So please, just say hello to me in your local dialect. I really, truly do want to hear from you, okay? Okay, let us just jump in and introduce our guest of honor today, or our guest storyteller today. Like I said before, astronomically speaking, spring began yesterday at 5:24 p.m. That is Eastern Standard Time. Okay, this is I'm just speaking to those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. And so my excitement is bubbly. I'm happy. I think I was singing the whole time. And maybe that's the reason I just noticed it, that spring started yesterday. So happy spring to all of us. Yay! May the cold weather be gone. Listen, Michael Aboya is our guest storyteller today. He's also known as Aboya 8. At the moment I'm reading, so bear with me if I'm not keeping eye contact with you, okay? He is a fine art photographer based in Ghana, West Africa. As a visual artist working with photography, his purpose is to tell stories that inspire, empower, and connect with the viewer. His images explore emotions, love, and strength through composition, lighting, and subject matter. As he looks to the future, he looks forward to continuing the exploration of our humanity for many years to come. Over this period of time, Michael has received 6 awards for outstanding visual storytelling and composition, and made some inspiring achievements. Let me tell you just a few of them. He was the Best Eyes Photography at the Agora Award 2018. Best Sound Photography. Now, I don't know what that is. Best Sound Photography? We're going to have to ask him about that at the Agora Award also in 2018. Best Horse Rider Photography in 2018. Best Portrait for Humanity 2020 by Agora Awards. He is the author of the Best Photograph in the World 2019. That was titled Songs of Freedom. Agora Awards 2019 in Spain. That's when he won that. And Photographer of the Year 2022. That's a People's Choice Award in his home country, Ghana. Michael became an Adobe Lightroom ambassador in 2021. If you're in filmmaking and graphic design, you know this is a big deal. And he's also an Adobe Lightroom Classic Splash Screen Artist 2022. His works and story has been featured in many popular media outlets such as Forbes, BBC, Sony Alpha Photographers, Golf News, and many, many more. And now to, kind of be the icing on the cake, it is he's here on To My Younger Self, the best storytelling show in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, like we always do in grand to my younger self fashion, as you are sharing and asking people to join us, as we're welcoming our viewers on Twitter and our viewers on YouTube. Please, please, please do me the honors. Help me welcome the absolutely incredibly talented Michael Aboya. Michael, how are you?
I'm doing good.
One
Thank you
of
so
my
much.
favorite photographers so far. My goodness. You guys
Yeah,
will get to see some of his work, and your mind is going to be stretched and extended and blown. Okay?
thank you. Thank you so much. So happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity,
Wow.
and I'm excited to share my story and hopefully inspire the viewers and
Oh,
anyone out there.
it is good to see you, Michael. Listen, I'm always joking that my job only happens within a span of about 10 to 13 minutes. And then after that, the guest does all the work. So my job is done. And so over to you.
Yeah. Um. So where do I start from?
You just start with your first story.
Okay. So most of my life in the present right now has been influenced by um, certain events from the past,
Mm,
and some sad, some happy moments, but all same. I feel that all those things happen for a reason, in order to shape us for the future, for us to learn, to understand, and grow.
mm,
So I'll start with one that has to do with struggle,
mm,
and that has made me really understand what life is about and how we can go through the storm of our lives
mm,
and come out to see the sun and the the sunshine and the beautiful landscape and all that stuff.
mm,
Um, so I grew up in a Christian home.
mm,
Um, my parents, my dad, he's called Jonathan Aboya, and my mom is Blessing Aboya, and I'm the first in the family. And it wasn't an easy journey from my childhood. But the thing is, I really never understood that word when you say not easy,
mm,
because it was mostly my parents. All I just had to do was um, make sure I do my chores and make sure that I'm always in the right and I don't get punished by my parents, which is almost impossible. And my parents were always the ones like doing the struggle,
mm.
and I really never like sat back to ask questions like how are they going about that, how are they doing all those stuff. um but I got to a point I really started to feel that struggle,
Mhm,
because it wasn't really going from, it wasn't just my parents anymore. It felt like we all had to come together to make things work. So there was a point where my dad was he used to do import and exports from um, Ghana to
mhm,
Nigeria, from Nigeria to Ghana, and we were based in Nigeria at the time. So there was he faced an issue where he was importing aluminium pots to Ghana, and what happened was that I think from the story he told me, he normally um, shipped through the sea, but
mhm.
this time around he decides to do it on land.
Oh,
So whilst it was coming, it got the truck that was taking the stuff got damaged, and they had to abandon the truck in nowhere. So my dad was in Ghana, in Nigeria, waiting for the goods. It wasn't coming, and apparently the goods weren't his. He took some loans for those goods and all that stuff. So that was the beginning of all the trouble I started to feel, because
wow.
it didn't only impact my dad, but it took a toll on the whole family. So what I would realize is that my parents wouldn't tell us anything, especially like myself and the siblings, but you could obviously see that something is wrong.
Mhm.
My dad would come home, he's worried. He would um, sometimes come home and he's like very like he's been in a fight or something,
Oh
And
no.
yeah, and then my mom would try to take care and dress his wounds and all that stuff. And all this was all related to the whole shipping stuff because there were people who had invested money and all that stuff.
So people would literally physically abuse him because they were waiting for his money, their
Yeah,
money.
yeah, and
Wow.
it wasn't coming true. So um it was really hard to the point where my mom had to fall back on her skills. She
Mm,
had learned how to bake like donuts,
mm.
bullfloats, and all that stuff. So she would send me to the market to get the ingredients, and then I come back home, and then she would prepare this stuff right in front of me, and I would assist her. And my
Mm.
favorite amongst them has been the donuts. And
Wow. So you
yeah,
can make good ones then.
yeah.
Next time in Ghana, you're making me go float. Like that's wow.
Yeah. So my favorite amongst them was the donut, and to be very honest, it's still my favorite to this very point. And I don't know if you know chinchi in Ghana, they call it achomo.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So she makes that as well, and those two has been my favorite because it felt like art watching my mom make those, like the process of her making those. So I found this lady to just to tell you how it has sticked with me. I found this lady in Laboni recently. She sells achomo. So
Mm.
when I bought it, it immediately triggered my my memory back
Yes. Oh
because
wow.
the taste was really close to what my mom used to make. So immediately I asked her, is it possible you can make some specifically for me? I'll pay, but whatever ingredients you place into the achomo, can you make it double or two times the amount because it's there, but it's not it's not
Not
quite there
quite
yet.
there.
Yeah, yeah. So she did that, and frankly, I have some in the kitchen right now.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, exactly. And it kind of like reminds me of that point.
Mm,
So um what happened was that because I grew up as someone who I was that child that my parents really didn't want me to do anything. They
mm.
always provided stuff. Now I had to adapt and become part of the family in a sense of trying to make sure we can all survive and all go through it together, not just me, my siblings as well, maybe except the little ones. At the time they were so young, they really don't know what was happening. So I found myself selling the donuts, the bullflutes, and the chinchi, the chomo, in traffic. So I would carry them on my head and
Oh
walk.
wow. Is this in like Accra or this was
No,
somewhere?
this was in Nigeria, in
Oh
Lagos.
wow.
Yeah. So I would carry them on my head, walk around the city of Lagos, and I'm like donuts, donuts, donuts. And
Michael, how old were you? Because you don't look anything past 20 right now. So I'm
no,
thinking,
I was really young. I was like I think probably 11, 10 at
oh
the time.
my God.
Yeah. So, but then the thing about me, I, I'm always that person in the family, which my dad felt was a problem. I enjoyed exploring. I enjoyed trying new stuff. So when I was out there selling, I was enjoying it.
Oh God. I think
So
you're the only child who actually enjoyed that. Some of us did not have fun with that at all.
I mean, I enjoyed it in the sense that aside going out to sell, it allowed me freedom in that space to also explore, to talk to new people,
Wow.
something that my parents wouldn't really allow to do, like don't talk to strangers, don't go
Right,
out.
right.
So doing all that stuff really like it I enjoyed it in a way. But then also I was trying my best to make sure my mom was happy when I got back
Mm.
and I sold the entire donuts and all
Oh
that stuff.
my God.
But then something happened this particular day that really made me feel like, man, this is hard. And I wish and I pray that God can really take us back to where we used to be. So I was walking and I think my mind was like clouded at the time and I wasn't really paying attention. So I fell into a gutter whilst carrying the stuff
Oh my
on my
God.
head. And then everything went on the ground. But immediately, the market women around were so kind. They came around, um, carried me, went to look for Rob and dress the wound on my
Oh
leg.
my God.
Yeah, and also tried to like clean the bullfloats. At the time, at that moment, I was selling donuts, so they tried to clean the sand on the bullfloats and all that, and were like, I should take it home. But at that moment, I was like, yo, if I take this home, my mom would get pissed, or she wouldn't be happy,
Mhm.
and I know she would care that I've gotten injured and all that stuff. But yet again, we needed the money to kind of like survive.
Yes.
So one thing that I did, which I knew that I shouldn't have done, was that I marked the territory I fell, that everyone had seen that the donut had fallen, and then went somewhere far and sold it.
Oh my God.
Which, yeah, and sold it. So I got
Oh,
back. I got back home and I gave the money to my mom, but I never told her that I fell down and got,
oh
got
wow.
injured and all that stuff. So that day really made an impact in my life, where I felt that um it's tough, it's hard,
Mm,
but then it really it, it really needs, it takes certain kind of like efforts and prayers in order for you to like get through whatever you're going through.
wow.
Me doing all of that, I probably wouldn't have felt it as much as my mom, because
Mm,
anytime I go out there, I always wonder what she's thinking. Like, is he going to be able to sell all those and come back and all that stuff?
wow.
And funny enough, with all the prayers and all that, it wasn't getting easier. It
Mm,
was getting much harder, because now there was no profit on the bowl float and the donuts I was selling. So we were,
oh,
it was basically like a hand to mouth kind of
yes.
stuff. So it got to a point we spent almost all the money in order to kind of like re um to buy new ingredients and all that stuff. And I couldn't go to school anymore, so I was home. And my brother Daniel was the only one going to school at the time. So what happened, my mom said she was going to change the business and start selling kerosene.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So um but bear in mind, my dad, on the other hand, had left Nigeria and came to Ghana in order to like restart
Right.
his stuff. So he couldn't take us with him because he wasn't having the funds. So
Mm-hmm.
his idea was that when he comes to Ghana and he works a little and he's able to rent a place, he would have us come over. So that took like a year and a half. So my mom also had to play her part in trying to make sure that we we like
Mm-hmm.
the children, that everyone is okay and we are all living, and we can hold on to my dad contacts us. So that struggle kind of like shaped me today, especially when my parents are no longer here.
Mm,
uh it it made me realize that yes, life is hard, but if you keep pushing and you keep um doing your best and you stay true to who you are and you always stay close to God, something good, something beautiful always comes
something
out from
happens.
the storm that
Wow.
we, yeah.
Michael, did you sell the kerosene too, or only your mom? Did she? Because I know some people used to have, they would have like a little corner on the side of the road, and they would just stay there. Or did you have to carry kerosene and?
Oh, so that was just by the side of the road, and the reason why she switched to that at the time, I don't know about now, but
Mm,
there used to be like very like bad light off in Nigeria, like there's
yes.
no lights and all that, so people were always using lanterns and cooking with kerosene and all that stuff. So it looked like something that was going to thrive. So I was selling the kerosene not far from the house this time, but just somewhere closer. And that was going well. And I would sit down there, and my friends would come over and sit with me, and we'll have a chat, and then people come by the kerosene and all that stuff. So I think that was also cool to understand what it feels to actually sell something and make money, to do calculations and see how much change I need to give back to the customer and all that stuff. All those were like hard experiences, but now it's helping me because uh, I'm able to kind of like process everything that I do with
Mm.
my photography and
Wow.
the difficulties I face, and then just go through them like that.
Is incredible. Now, even at
Yeah.
that time, did you know you were going to be a photographer?
No, had no idea.
Wow.
Had no idea.
Oh my
I think
God.
at the time I had no idea what I wanted to be. I
Mm.
was just one of those um, young people who have dreams and who like believe that they probably will live forever. They have enough time all the time in the world to do whatever they want. So I was
Oh,
that person. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
This is so incredible. And there's so many people that are kind of just resonating with your story. Indeed, I don't remember if I had to go out there and sell too, but I know my siblings, some of them did, had to sell like iced water. I
Yeah.
think I did sell, putting ice block in an ice chest or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like it was part of the training of almost every African child. And I say almost because not everyone did it, but
Hmm. Hmm.
we all didn't. So, Auntie Doris is saying we all had to hug. It was fun when it was all sold, which is true.
Yeah.
When it
Exactly.
wasn't sold, you really don't want to go home. You know what I
Well,
mean?
well, if it wasn't sold, what happens is that because it's donut and buffalo, we just take it home and eat the rest.
Or I think I
Yeah.
knew a lady who would refry them a little bit for the next day. She would put it
Oh, yeah, yeah.
in a little hot oil, and then it would become a little fresh again, and then they would
Hmm.
sell it or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Don Francis, who is one of our storytelling alum, he says, I have sold kerosene too. This job there.
Yeah. It's
It
not.
is incredible.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
exactly.
For those of you who just joined us, we are listening to the incredibly talented Michael Aboya. Or for those of you who follow him on social media, he's Aboya Pixels 8 or Aboya 8 Pixels. I'm not sure, but there's definitely a
Aboya
pixels
8.
and an 8 there. I know, right? Listen, incredibly talented guy. And you're going to see some of his work in a few, as we go along. But he just told us one story about how he grew up in Nigeria and, transitioning into Ghana. And whilst you're kind of like catching up on who our storyteller is, we would like you to take a few minutes, or a few seconds really, and just invite your friends to come into the room and kind of just listen to his stories with us. Okay, Michael, right back to you again.
Yeah, I was just looking at a comment. Someone said the hawker deserves his wages. It's the unsold. Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean? At least you got lucky. Some of us couldn't drink all the water, or even the ice block. Yeah, over to you, my dear. Yes.
Um, Second story. So you remember when I said I was always the one in the family that always tried to express himself, and my dad kind of like had a problem with that.
Hmm.
So I was always that in the family. I'm the firstborn, but I've had that spirit, which I don't think is a bad one, but it's that one where if they tell you don't do this, you just have this curiosity to do it and see why.
That's the
Why?
pain of every firstborn's existence. That's me to a hilt. Don't
Yeah,
do it. Why? Let me try it and see.
Exactly. So I was in this school in Lagos, Nigeria called Ekwo Akite.
Mm,
It's in Lagos,
wow.
and I was in SS3. And the funny thing about that is that SS3 is the same as SHS
Mhm,
one in Ghana. But I
mhm,
was in SS3 when I was really young, like
mhm.
11. I think,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, the
But
same age where
you weren't even going to school for a while. You must be very smart.
exactly.
Wow.
Nah, nah, nah. So I came to Ghana. I actually got repeated.
Oh
So I
no.
yeah, I came
Oh,
to Ghana.
Ghana.
I got repeated like
Mhm.
three years back
Oh
to
wow.
JHS three. First of all, because the educational system is quite different, and
Mhm,
then second of all, I didn't know certain things that the people in SHS knew,
mhm.
so I had to go back and relearn all of that,
Wow.
which I still got repeated twice after. Again in Ghana.
Wow.
Yeah. So um I was attending this school, and there was this teacher that I really did not like because he 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 canes a lot. He likes slashing and all that stuff. And I'm someone that really don't like. I'm not that man or that guy that when you lash, they can hold the tears back, kind of like.
You would
So
cry.
exactly, I don't know how those guys were doing it. Like
Oh
I,
man.
I had to figure that out, but I'm always that guy that when you lash you, or I
Mhm,
always cry. So because I had missed school for like some time, I wasn't having certain like notes to write. So when I finally went back to continue, I realized that he came around and said he wanted to check, like he's going to check our notes the next day,
mhm.
and if we don't have any of that, he's going to lash us. And I was terrified. I was extremely terrified of this guy.
Oh wow.
So I tried explaining to my parents. They weren't having it, regardless of it's being everyone being in the struggle together and all that. So I had no choice but to go to school. So what I did, which I feel shouldn't be done, which is wrong, is that I had like change of outfits in my bag. So instead of going to school, I did not go to school. I actually went to a shop to assist someone sell.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So just to tell you how I was enjoying the selling on the roadside, I felt the need to go back and keep doing it to avoid being lashed. So I was doing it.
Wow.
I was doing it, and then, funny enough, a family friend came around to buy something, which was like out of the meal. Like, how is that even possible? And I realized that I was definitely they're going to sell me out to my parents and say, "We saw your child over here doing this." So I told them, "Oh, I came here to buy stuff for my parents and all that." So I left there, and instead of going to the school, I went to my church, and I tried to hide in the church.
Oh my
So,
god.
so when I got to the church, I I was there, and this is a story that I've not told my parents even to this point, and now they're
Oh,
not here anymore
oh,
because I'm not proud of it like that.
oh. May God
But
bless their souls.
yeah,
Wow.
but this kind of like made me realize how and the extreme that I would go in order for me to kind of like avoid anything that would hurt me or make me feel like in pain and all that stuff.
Really?
So I went to the church. I was actually hiding inside the church because I wasn't really showing myself. And that period, I was supposed to be in school.
Mhm.
So I was there. There was no one there at the moment. And then all of a sudden, I realized that the elders were coming in the church. So what I did was that I went and I went on the altar and I hid behind the the curtains. You know, some altars they have curtains right on the altar. So I hid behind the 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 curtains at the altar. The elders came in, they had their meeting, and then when they finished, they all left and they locked me inside.
Oh my.
So now I was trapped and I found myself in a much more difficult situation. So I had to figure out how
How
to
to
get
get
out.
out of the church?
And it was all like I started to regret that I could have just gone to school, take a few lashes, and then
Were you hungry at that time?
I
You're
was,
probably-
I was hungry, but I think at that moment I wasn't really thinking about it. All I just wanted to do was find a way out. So I tried opening the windows; they were all locked, and these windows were done. They're this type of windows where they had this kind of like opening and closing mechanism, but it was on the outside, not inside. So I couldn't get out, and I
Is it
didn't
like
have
the
a.
windows, like the louvers one, where
There's
like
this old windows where it has like this thing you lock down and you
yes.
close them together or you open them. Exactly. So they were closed and I couldn't get out. So I had to go upstairs
Hmm.
and realize that there was one window opened upstairs. And then I climbed through the window. There was a balcony.
Oh, wow.
And I realized that my only decision was to jump down.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Because if my parents were to find out, the lashes that I would receive would be worse than.
And the school one, you could have just gone to school and gotten your run.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I I had to take the risk to jump off that building, and thankfully nothing happened to me.
Wow.
I was so scared because I felt that if I was caught, they would actually say I'm a thief or something like that. Why are you climbing through?
Yes.
And
How
how did you
old
get
were
lost?
you, Michael?
I was still around that age gap. I think I was
Wow.
doing all this when I was like 10, 11.
11.
Yeah.
It sounds
So,
like a cartoon. I'm imagining it in animated character form.
yeah. So I got home and I kept this one like a really really deep secret so that my parents don't get disappointed. But then yet again, that whole experience,
Mm.
which I feel is not a good one, is actually bad. So I really really inspire anyone to go that route. But in it kind of like shaped me in a way where now I take risks, but I take them positive risks,
Mm.
and um, it helps in a sense that, like for example, me becoming a photographer today and telling these stories, I had to drop out of school not because I wanted to, but because my mom could not afford it after my dad passed.
Oh wow.
So that was a decision I took, which was really hard, but I took it. And then I used my school fees to get my first camera. So that
What?
was, yeah. So that was a big risk. And that was the last money that would come from my fees. So the rest, my mom would have to figure it out one way or another. So I was like,
God.
I wasn't going to let my mom go through that stress. So I would take certain decisions on my own. So I sat down and started planning with my school fees, and I got my first camera, and that decision brought me this far.
I
And
can't believe that.
yeah,
Wow. How old were you at that time when you decided to like kind of get the camera?
I was 19.
Did you at that point you knew you wanted to do photography?
At that point, I so here's the thing. After losing my dad, and my dad was also like my mom played her role, but there was something about my dad. He was like a guiding force. He was that person that I was always scared of, like not scared in a bad way, but scared in a sense that I want to do it right so that he doesn't see me as a disappointment, kind of.
Oh my
I
God.
want him to tell me what to do and what not to do. So after losing him, I felt very lost. But one thing I really picked out of the moment, because he passed right in front of me, one
Oh,
thing one thing I picked out of the moment was that when he passed away, he did so doing something that he really loved,
Mm,
which was he was a pastor, so he enjoyed preaching. He traveled around and all that stuff. So when he was passing, I felt this satisfaction from him, and I had to ask myself questions when I felt lost as well. That what do I want to spend the rest of my time doing? Because now I realize that I'm not that kid that has all the time anymore. My
yeah.
time is
You've
very limited.
suddenly grown up.
Yeah,
At 19, you're suddenly a man. Wow.
yeah. So um so I was asking these questions and I realized that I needed to understand who I am. I needed to find myself. There was a lot going on with me in a very mental and emotional state
Mhm.
where I felt that if I didn't really find a place to put my feet and stand firm, I would really crumble. So the first thing that came into my mind was music, because anytime I listen to music, I feel at peace
Mhm.
and all that. So my dad had gotten me a guitar before he passed away, and I've kept it up to this point. And now I don't play it as much, but I keep it
Mhm.
in good condition because it really expressed my dad's love for music and how he wanted me to learn how to play an instrument and all that. So I thought it was music at first, but I realized that music was just a way to spark my imagination. So anytime I listen to music, I feel very inspired. I can imagine stuff, and the only thing that was left for me to do was to bring out my imagination and um to bring that imagination out and to create a story out of it. So the first thing you think is, oh, you should paint, but I suck at painting. Like I'm not I'm not good.
It's incredible. A
Yeah,
photographer was like, yeah, no, I don't like it at all,
yeah,
which
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah. Wow.
So I realized that I had love for photography. I just didn't realize it. In the family, I was always the one taking pictures. I was
Mm,
always the one looking at the old family albums, always looking at it. Always, anywhere I go, I have a selfie stick. I'm always taking pictures. And I realize that anytime I'm taking these pictures, I'm saving them for long periods and I'm always going back to them. And
wow.
some way, somehow, I see messages, I see meaning. So I felt the need, and something deep was telling me that go, yeah, go, choose this path. So I don't know. Just based on that story I told you of how I took the risks of skipping school,
Mhm.
hiding in a church, that same attitude, I used it in a positive way. Take a risk, dropped out, got a camera with my school fees, and then when I did that, I realized that I only had two options. It's either to stay in that church building and be caught or jump down. And
You
mine
jumped.
was exactly. So I had
Wow.
to take the option of jumping. And I jumped and it was hard. My mom was crying when she
Mhm.
realized what I had done. And I lost a lot of friends because now I was like at a down place. So people were
Mhm.
like staying away from me, and people were like, "Oh, Michael has become a photographer." So people were like, "Photo, photo, photo," and all that
Oh
stuff.
my God.
So I was depressed. I was going through a lot, but most importantly, I knew that I had a very important task, and that was to find myself. And I just had this strong edge that I could do so through photography. So I stick to doing that, and I feel like losing those friends and losing what I did not need was actually a blessing because it helped me kind of like stay focused
Mm.
and to keep my head on ground and to do what I had to do to understand who I am.
Oh my God. You know, guys, this is not even a question and answer session. Michael is supposed to be telling stories, but as a story curator, I am so curious. I have so many questions for him. So do forgive me today. I'm going to kind of turn the tables a little bit. First, I'm going to ask you, what was the first camera you bought? What brand was it? And then what was the first shot you took? I'm so curious. Oh
Uh,
my
can you
goodness.
give me a minute? Let me pick up my. It's actually damaged, but I'll show you my first camera.
Sure, yes. Oh, this is exciting. This is so exciting. By the way, that's all his work in the background there. Just so you know, this guy, man. Wow.
So this is my first camera. It's a Canon.
Oh my God.
It's a Canon T3, and
Yes.
it doesn't work anymore because I tried shooting in water, so it went in and it's damaged.
Oh, okay, yeah, Michael would do that.
Yeah. uh,
But you're
but
keeping it because
yeah, yeah.
there's a reason for it. Wow.
So it can remind me of how I started and what I had to do to get this
How
camera.
much was that camera at that time? If you don't mind us asking.
So I got this camera for I think 2,800 Ghana cedis. It was around
Wow.
2,800 and something, and then I had to buy the lens separately as well. So
Oh my God.
this was like 500 and something. So when I got it, I really didn't understand anything going on top. Yeah, like I was really confused. Like, what's all this manual shutter and all this?
ISO and iris and gain.
Exactly, yeah, yeah. And it was really confusing. But the only thing that I was really happy about was that I could click this button, the shutter, and capture an image. So if I was able to do that, I'm like, okay, at least I've taken the first step. So let's keep going.
Wow.
Yeah.
By the way, that was my first camera when I first got here.
Oh,
My
beautiful.
first camera in Ghana was a Nikon,
Oh, okay.
like
Yeah.
the one that you put the film in. I know you're not
Oh,
used
yeah,
to
yeah.
that. You put
I
the book,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
I've
then you have
actually
to go and develop it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
which belonged to my dad. And then now, when I first got here, I got a Canon T3, which is now, it belongs to someone else now because I paid
Oh,
it forward. But
okay, okay.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah, keep going. I know we're going to go into some of your work in a minute. Guys, I'm so glad the way Michael told this story because he set it up real nice. And you're about to see some of the most incredible work. And I've asked Michael first for permission so we could show some of his work and that he could tell us stories around the work that he's presented to us. Okay, let me tell you guys, this guy is so talented. When I saw the pictures, my mouth was just like the whole time. I was just like that. How do you even achieve this? So are you ready, Michael? Can we go into this?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so here is the first one. And Sumaya, I don't know if you're able to just put it up. If you're in the studio with us, Sumaya, can you go ahead and put up the first one that says Aboya 1 on there? Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I am trying to figure out, well, first of all, tell us the story behind this and why, and how did you achieve this?
Okay. So before I start telling you that, I just have to mention that when I got my camera, I didn't just pop up and started shooting this. It took me a lot of like learning
Mm-hmm.
and understanding certain things before I got here.
Yeah.
And it also took a lot of emotional trauma to
Mm.
get to this point. So you realize that every image that I kind of like create, there's a little bit depth and story of myself in there, and also story of the community that I'm shooting in as well. So this image, I titled it Backbone. And
Mm.
the reason I titled this Backbone is because at some point in my life, I went through a lot of struggle, and then I lose my dad, and then I find myself very lost. And when I found myself lost, I couldn't really figure out where to stand. I couldn't really figure out where to grieve or where to move to. But then with my family around me, my closest of friends, the best people you can actually call family, or you can actually call your own, or people you can share your sorrows with, you can share your deepest feelings with, when they come together, they act like your backbone to kind of like keep you standing firm, to keep you warm in cold conditions, to keep you being who you are and staying true to yourself. So that guy in the middle is kind of like a significant, like me in a way, and then
Oh
the
God.
back the back holding him together is it can be your family, it can be someone you love, your best friends, or anyone that just keeps you on the right path. It could even be God or angels or anyone that keeps you on the
Aboya, my goodness. You see how I just went straight to, this is so deep. It's such an incredible picture. Now,
Thank
is
you.
that snow around the kids, or did you create that whiteness around the
So that's actually the beach sand, and because the beach sand has the same color as the skin,
mm,
especially in sunsets, it doesn't stand out. So what I had to do was kind of like desaturate the color of the sand, make it white, so that the subjects themselves can
the
actually pop.
pop? See, now
Exactly.
Nadal is so in, she's like, and she's asking, is that a painting or a picture? No,
Yeah,
it's
it's a picture.
oh my God. And another comment is, Michael, you're preaching on no experience we go through in life is wasted. You guys think your mind is blown. Let me tell you, you are in for so much more. Here, and I'm gonna tell you guys which one is my favorite, but here is one. Hey, when I was when you sent the pictures and I'm looking at them, I said to myself, some of us didn't go to film school. Hmm. Tell us about this and how. Mm.
So the first one, first of all, I shot that in Labadi. This one I shot in Akosombo. So that's the Akosombo bridge is right behind me. And the story behind this one is called Touching a Dream. And we all have like dreams, and we wish that we can make those dreams come true. But sometimes those dreams are very impossible. And coming from my point, where I saw myself and where I see myself now, if someone had told me that I would be able to like create images like this or be where I am, I probably would just say amen to that. But I wouldn't really like imagine that to be something that would come true. So when I sat down to kind of like think about creating an image of what seems and looks impossible, of touching a dream you really want to come true, this is what came to mind. So in order for me to create this, I had to look for four divers. So I traveled to Akosombo. I look for divers who can be in water and hold their breath. So there are four people underwater. And then I came
Wait,
back.
wait. Wait. You mean these kids are underwater?
Yeah, there are four of them
Do you
underwater.
see how my American accent suddenly run away? Hey,
Yeah.
in Ghana.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not shocked like that because Africans are just incredibly talented. No one can tell me different. I'm just, what?
Yeah. Thank you. So there are four of them in water. And then I think somebody actually nailed the point there. He said that was him taking a leap of faith. So then I had to go back to Accra to look for an acrobat that can flip and then also swim, because if he falls in, he's entering into the water. So he has to be good at swimming as well.
I cannot believe this.
Yeah. So he took a leap. Well, I didn't really call it a leap of faith, but actually taking a leap to touch your dream. And then he went clockwise from left all the way to the right, and he fell into the water. But this was really hard to do because the first time I did it, his hands couldn't touch the people's hands in the water. And then the second time I did it, his hands was touching really perfectly, like tip for tip, but his legs was out of frame. And then we had to take time so that the divers can catch their breath a little, and then I can give the right motivations. And then he did it again, and then I got it perfectly. Just that the hands weren't like touching as good as the first one, but I like it because it shows a perfect imperfection, and it gives the story exactly the way I wanted it to
Let me
be.
tell you something. If you didn't tell me that this was not a perfect touch, I would. And I dabble in photography, mostly videography, but
Mhm.
you know, the fact that you even thought to find divers, that's one, and then find an acrobat who can swim. Like it, you know, there's something that's called Sophia, which is just the knowledge of humanity, right?
Mm.
We learn things from books and teachers and all that, which is just knowledge. But the wisdom that comes from God Himself, you know, when the Bible says, when God was about to create the world, wisdom was there with Him. That's what I see inside of you, because it
Yeah,
has to be a God inspiration to get here. Because I've never.
I think you saying this right now. I had an exhibition in um Saja, UAE,
Mhm,
just recently, and people kept coming to, like, a lot of people came to my gallery.
mhm.
And one thing I got away from it, which has stick to me, and I'm really grateful to always hear that, was that someone, not just one person, everyone kept saying that this is unreal. It almost feels like God has given you something to capture the essence of being human, the essence of being
Yes,
who you are. And
I
just
have goosebumps, and then my goosebumps just got goosebumps that are giving birth to goosebumps. It's ridiculous.
yeah, thank you so much.
Oh
So
my God.
just hearing that gave me more courage and inspired me, just to know that I'm on the right track of capturing the essence of who we are, and the essence of having values of our creator. So um, yeah, that's basically what I can say now.
Now,
Yeah.
let me tell you something. The lady, the person, listen to my younger self. Stop commenting this funny, okay? We're not recreating this in any way, shape, or form. But Avonzige, and Michael, I've spoken to you a little bit about Avonzige, who is also an incredible creative. She says, this looks like you were also in the water whilst shooting this. Were you in
Yeah,
the water?
yeah. I was in the water.
Oh
I
my
actually have.
goodness.
Yeah. Well, this is not the first time I've been in the water. I'm always in situations where I feel it's best for me to capture it the right way, regardless of wherever. There was a time I fell down and felt that I'd broken my spine. It was so
You
bad
what?
that, like, my spine, because I couldn't stand. That was one of the shoots I was doing. So I fell. I fell so bad that I couldn't stand up, and I was just hearing like a pinch sound in my ears, and then I could hear my dad's voice. So I was like, "Hey, why are you calling me at the end of the tunnel? I'm not ready. I'm not ready to go anywhere." So after a while, I was able to walk, but that was with the help of people around. And then the next day, I had to go get X-ray done, and then I still have that. I kept that so that I can remind myself. Just it will take a while for me to reach that and show it to you guys, but
Oh my God.
thankfully I didn't have any fracture. It was just like a tear in the muscle. So I had to like heal, and then I got back to doing what I do.
I'm just gonna tell you right now, Michael, when I'm in Ghana, I'm curating you, and we're just gonna be putting together the biggest exhibition out there in Ghana, like
I'll be
ridiculous.
very happy to.
Oh my goodness, my goodness. And you let me you guys are just in for like surprise after surprise. Okay. Here is tell me more about this. This is
So I titled this image Reborn. And the inspiration for this one comes from baptism. So if you ever see when someone is about to get baptized, they are submerged in water and then they
Yes.
are brought out back to be reborn, to be new, and to start all over again. So that was the story I was trying to tell over here. But then, in order to make that story really speak, I had to involve every like the member of the people in the community so that they don't feel left out,
Mm,
because I could have easily used like just two hands, but then I brought everyone together in order to kind of like make that story about being reborn, not just about a single person, but a family, a community coming together to make sure that we grow and we grow in the way we are supposed to.
mm, mm, mm. Let me tell you, Michael, you have brought like prophets here. He's actually a prophet. So if he's telling me this is a Reverend Dr. Moses Kofi Jesse says, divine talent. I'm
Thank you so
telling
much.
you, the way you're shooting, it cannot be based on, you went and learned a little photography here, and then you figured out how to adjust the ISO, the this and that, and then no, this is divinely inspired photography
Thank
coming
you.
out of the belly of Africa, right there on the equator. Like, I'm inspired to do poetry.
Thank
Okay. Let me tell you, here is more. You got, hey, this boy, eh? See, the enemy is a liar. He doesn't want us to show your photography because all of a sudden he's doing something with the internet, but he's lying. It will work. It will work. We'll come back to it. We'll just come back to it. Let's see. Come on, internet. This is,
It's actually showing. I can see it.
you can?
Yeah, you
Uh,
just keep on.
Okay, so can the audience tell us if they can see it? Because I, for some reason, can't see it, and I'm not sure what's going on. All right, well, I'm gonna take it a step back. This one, so these incredibly talented kids, you found them in the community, and they're able to swim and stay underwater.
So
Oh my!
so so before starting, I'm a very introverted person. I find it difficult to like talk to people. So when I
Oh,
started,
in that case, I'm very lucky. I kind of drew you in small because
no,
you're talking to me for an hour.
so I I got a zoom lens and then I would capture from afar. But I
Mhm,
realized that what that was doing was that I was taking pictures, but the images were blank. There was no story,
mhm,
no emotions.
mhm,
So I felt that in order for me to be able to get everything
mhm,
in true harmony and to give the story the way it needs to be, I needed to develop the habit of approaching and speaking to people. So now what I do is that when I visit a community, let's say this community, for example, which is at Labadi, I
mhm.
don't shoot. I try to show myself for some time so that the people get to see me, they get to know me, I interact with them. And then gradually I break that barrier of being a stranger. So the moment I'm accepted into the community, then I introduce myself as a photographer and a storyteller, and I show them images that I've done before. And then they are happy to work with me. And this time they show me a certain side of them that they wouldn't show to a stranger. So then I'm able to direct and really tell them like exactly what I need and how I need it to be done. So with this image, we have one, two, three, four, five people underwater, and then that guy in the middle over there. And this I titled Deep Waters. Reason being because sometimes in life we need to take certain steps, but we find ourselves half underwater, half up, and we don't really see where to put our feet and where to stand.
Mm,
But if you really, really trust in God, you trust in who you are, and you trust in the gifts that have been given to you, then you know exactly where, like those guides, those elements, those forces, they guide you to know where to place your feet,
oh,
and they guide you on where to go. So those hands are like symbolizes those aspects: family, God.
Guidance of
Exactly.
humanity
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
Man, now what I really want to do is to get my hands on your photo book. Guys, Michael has a photo book. And when we were reading his bio, we told you that the title of that photo book. Michael, can you tell me the title again? Because I want them to, it's something about freedom.
Oh, it's not a photo book, it's just an image.
It's an
And
image. Okay.
yeah.
Songs
So
of freedom.
yeah,
Okay.
so
Mhm.
that was just titled in Spain, Barcelona, as
Mhm.
they titled me as the author of the image. So
Oh my
yeah.
God. The
Yeah.
author of the image.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it is incredible what this guy does with the camera. Here's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So
How, eiiiiiiiish.
this one I shot in Sakumono, and that is the hat the Makola women use
Mhm.
under this at the market. And I titled this as simple as "My Black is Beautiful," to really embrace the color of our skin,
Mhm.
to embrace its beauty, and also to show how it can evoke emotions based on lightning conditions as well and environments that you find yourself. So this image exactly is a series, but I just sent like the cover of that series, and this is the image. But if you go to
Yes.
my
And,
Instagram,
and
you
we have it here. Is a series is called Deep Waters.
yeah, yeah.
Right? Oh my God. And one of our resident poets and writers, EJOD, she says, I see a theme here. So, EJOD, I want you to write in the comment section what the theme you see here is, right? We're going to move on. Honestly, one of my favorite shots, this one, I was thinking about the young lady in the shot. I was thinking about what she must have been thinking. I mean, I just had so many, so many,
Yeah.
so many thoughts. And Reverend Dr. Moses, he says Sakumono. Wow, I thought Gabon or Uganda.
it's,
No, Ghana. This
it's
guy
all Ghana.
does most of his work in Ghana. It's incredible, incredible. Okay, we're gonna move on with the shot number 6. Stresse. Aboya, I can't. Where do you, how?
So this one is actually, I think, my second most popular image, if not my first most popular image.
Yes.
This one was selected by Adobe for the Adobe Lightroom splash screen, meaning if you open Lightroom Classic,
It's
I don't
right
know.
here.
Yeah, it's right there. And
Mm.
every photographer have kind of like seen this image. And this I shot before lockdown. And uh, when I shot this image, initially I did not shoot it to kind of like put it out. I was just kind of there to I was at the beach. So this was at the beach. I entered into the water, and then these kids were like jumping off a ledge and entering in there. And it really expressed what it means to be free and to be yourself. And it
Mm.
reminded me of my childhood when I had this feeling of being free. Although my parents went through a lot of struggles, I wasn't really feeling it as much.
Mm.
And I captured the image. But then during the lockdown, when everyone was inside and we couldn't go out and all that stuff, I put this out just to remind myself again what it really means to be free, to be out there now that we are confined inside a small space. And I'm like, you know what, let me spend the like time I have editing this. So I edited that, and then I put it out, and it happened that I wasn't the only one that felt the need to be free again. Everyone had that feeling as well. So there was a way for people to kind of like see
It
them.
just caught fire. It just caught fire. It
Yes.
caught fire. And the thing I love about this is like you see how natural it is. Like the water, this you see how Reverend Doctor is saying, hey, like how? Like how does a human being Like how? That's how we're just gonna start saying it. Stress it like how. Okay, we're gonna move on to oh my God, Aboya, there's something about your photography. Just something. Tell us more about this.
So this is also a series, and this one was also I I I don't want to make everything sound like it was all inspired by myself and
Mm,
family and all that, but the truth is there's nothing. Looking at my life growing up and all that I've been through, I realized that there's nothing really separating us. We're
mm,
all the same. We're all one people. We just express ourselves in different ways. And before my dad actually became a pastor or started doing the import and export business, and before he met my mom, he was a dancer.
what?
Yeah.
I can't.
So he had a, I think when he finally got married, he kind of like hanged his dancing costumes.
Oh my
So
God.
he had two of them, one red outfit and another all white outfit. So I think he was part of a dance crew. And this is something that I regret because I never really asked him what his life was like dancing and
Mm,
what it felt like. So when I meet people like this who enjoy music and enjoy dancing, they
mm.
kind of like give me those answers without having to ask my dad. And it's basically kind of like expresses freedom also in a way and expresses joy and the happiness of being alive, the gratefulness of what we have around us, and um, putting all that together just kind of like brings me, as well as the photographer and creator, some form of meaning to life. And capturing people, seeing them happy in their elements also gives me like purpose and makes me feel that I'm on the right track to capture the essence of being human.
Oh my
So
God. And you know, it's so fortuitous because Neto says all through the pictures I can see these words: free, authentic, natural, unique, peace, and joy. And I love the way she spells the word free and then the word joy, like
yeah,
she's stretching it because it's just so potent. You can literally touch it. There is a kind of impetus that's driving these pictures. It's almost as though that impetus is unnatural. It's
yeah.
incredible. It's incredible. Let me we have a few more to go, maybe about 4 or 5 more guys, but I know, let me do a poll. Do you want us to keep showing you some of Aboya's incredible pictures? Or do you want us to kind of just stop here? Give me a thumbs up in the comment section if you want us to keep going. You know, I just need like 3 people to give a thumbs up. And if we get 3, we're going to keep going. And if we don't, we'll kind of stop here and you're going to have to research it for yourself. So let me bring Michael back. We're going to remove this. We're going to bring Michael back. To my younger self, your vote doesn't count. So I don't know why you have your thumbs up there. Vanessa says, I wish we all felt this on a daily. Nato says more. So her thumbs up would probably count for like 10 already. Wow. Angela Coffee Show is here. You know, the DJ of the times, the legendary DJ of all times. He has like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 thumbs up. Producer Elsie, I mean, your thumbs up doesn't count. You're a producer. But Angie Dory says, everything you thought was a loss has become your gain. Yes, indeed. Reverend Dr. Moses says, please keep going. And so Jane wrote, okay, let me tell you, the thumbs up are coming up like hot.
Yeah,
So we're going to keep going. All right, we're convinced, right, Michael? We can keep.
yeah.
All righty, let's see. I think we are on number 8 right now. This is my absolute favorite all time. And in fact, I said, I'm going to ask Michael live. This is the quintessential picture for To My Younger Self. And how do we get it? How do we buy it? Or can we use it? What are the royalties on it? But you can answer that question after you've told us how you got the shot.
Okay. So this basically I was creating to kind of like show the beauty of natural hair and the styling that can be done around natural hair. So I titled this like wearing her crown, and using the hair as a symbol of a crown to really show that you are royalty. This is who I am, and this is where I belong. This is where I call home. And you can really see how that shines through in the emotions that they express.
Oh my
And so,
God.
yeah,
The joy of the little girl and her
yeah,
cute little teddy bear. I was, because we have to convert it on this platform. You're not able to use JPEG, so we have to convert it into a PDF format. And as I was doing the conversion, I stuck on this picture and I just kept smiling and smiling.
yeah,
It's such a potent, very story-filled picture of love and reconciliation. It's almost as if the older version, the young woman, has found herself in this the
yeah,
child, and the child is so enamored with this woman. It's just too much story. Too much story. Now tell us, how do we curate this particular picture for To My Younger Self?
So I kind of like have like prints that's
Mm,
hard copies, and I
mm.
also license my images for use as well.
Okay.
So that's no problem at all on how to go about.
Should I get up and dance, guys? Because we asked and we're getting, right? So
Yeah,
if you guys in a few weeks or maybe even next week suddenly realize that our pictures online and everything has changed to this Aboya picture, of course, we're gonna give him credit. We're gonna say this picture is continuously is for him, and all that stuff we have to do in the background. Don't be alarmed, okay? This, I just had to go there. Like, let me speak Chi mitutu. How do you say shy in Chi? Whatever shyness it is, I mitutuya. I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna be shy because when I'm enamored, I'm just enamored. So
yeah.
there we go. Wow. Oh my God. Kudos to these women, the young child, and of course the young woman. Kudos to them. They were just so natural. And where did you shoot this?
I shot this in Sacramento.
I think Reverend Doctor is gonna have a couple of OOOs. Like, hey, so this is Ghana. Oh my goodness. My goodness. So this is the number 8. We're going on number 9. There's just maybe 3 or so more for you. Okay. Is this space?
So this is really interesting. Um, this So I've never been to the northern region ever since I've been to Ghana. And after losing my dad,
Mm,
um, I've always wanted to go there in order for me to really understand where I'm from by
mm,
asking questions
mm,
and all that stuff. So I got the opportunity to join a group of couples going to the northern region. So I went with them. And when we got here, this is Larabanga. I
Just to get a background, guys, and Michael, please do forgive me for kind of rudely interrupting. Michael says the backstory is the fact that Michael's father was from the northern region of Ghana, and that's what he meant by he needed to ask questions and understand his father. Just a little context there. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, so I went to I was at Larabanga, and I was out in the night, and I've obviously asked a lot of questions, and I felt very satisfied in a way, but I also felt there was more to be done. So I was outside, and then I just look up, and it was was beyond words. I feel like the image doesn't even do justice to it because I've never, except for movies, I've never seen stars as much in my life.
You had an Abrahamic moment.
So in order for me to see this as well, I found myself in a very dark, very, very dark environment. There was no light. So I saw the stars, and this made me, I mean, I kind of like put a story to anything that I see
Mm.
because I believe that every single detail has stories in them. So this moment for me was iconic because in the time that you feel that you are in the darkest of places, there's always light somewhere,
Mm.
and that light kind of like holds a certain form of beauty.
Mm.
And for me, this was the moment because I actually went to ask questions. And although I found myself in that dark spot, in a dark situation, when I looked up, I saw beauty. So
God.
this moment really made me appreciate God the more, appreciate the beauty of creation, and really ask. I started asking even more questions beyond myself, like what's out there and what are the possibilities? If this exists, what else exists?
What else is out there? Is that
Yeah.
someone standing there? Like, is
So
that
that is a one of the member in the community who stayed up with
mm,
me at night. So that because obviously I was in the dark, but I didn't want to be there alone. So he was with me.
wow?
So I gave him a touchlight to go ahead a bit and shine it over on the ground.
That's the light that is up there like that.
Yeah, yeah. So I titled this Reaching for the Stars. So you can see that tiny light in his hand
Mm,
almost look like he's like grabbing on.
reaching for that. Oh my
Yeah.
God. And so when Rev says Michael is truly an angel, he ain't lying, not even a little bit.
Thank you
Oh
so much.
my God. Oh my God. Lamisi says, great job. I am inspired by his photography. You were born to do this. In fact, I think I just saw a comment a while ago where someone says, I allowed the day you decided to you took your school fees to buy a camera. Okay. Vanessa is asking what's his website. It's Aboya8.com is right underneath there, Vanessa, on the ticker. You should be able to see it and you would just be incredibly amazed. Ayinami says, I am wondering if you go on set with a predetermined picture of what you want to achieve after. And are there times that nature just influences your shot on set, like the weather or mood or etc. That's an incredible question. Once again, Michael, over to you with this question.
So so over the period of learning and finding my path in photography, I experimented with different lighting conditions
Mhm.
because I believe that light always sets the mood, colors always sets the mood, and then they kind of like gives of the emotions that are needed. And instead of like going too far, I asked myself questions like, when during the day do you feel mostly in line with who you are? And I realized that this is sunrise and sunset. Why? Because the colors, the sun, the lights is not too harsh.
Mhm.
It's very soft and moody. And I started to shoot in those lightning conditions. And I realized that not only does it blend well with our skin,
Mhm.
but also gives the best mood and feeling for the images that I want to shoot. So in order for me to get everything right, sometimes I write and plan my stories before I go out and shoot them. So I can give you an example of.
This storytelling session is just inspired. Okay, like this guy came with everything. I am so happy. Can you tell? Wow. Wow. All right. We're going to switch back to just Michael and myself, just so you can see what he's about to show you. Um,
So, so basically, I would do something like this. to kind of like plan out. I don't know if you see,
Yes.
yeah, to plan out like my stories, draw stuff, put things together, and then write a little bit, some ideas on what story I want to tell, and then I go out to look for like the people that would best suit that story,
That story.
and then I prepare like a budget, um, because I see like creating like a movie or other, so I have to pay people
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff. So I prepare a budget and then I go out on a project to either create for myself or create for anyone that has hired me to create a story. And I found that I tell the stories best when I shoot in a lightning condition called cross lightning.
Mm.
So if you look at me right now, I'm actually using cross lightning because the light is on one side of my face and the other side is darker. Sorry.
I
I don't know.
just got that. I
Yeah.
literally, oh my God.
Yeah. So your lightning is a studio lightning. So your
Yes, it's
entire
all
face
dried
is
up.
lit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I use cross lightning because I try to show emotions in faces. So one side of my face is darker and one side is has light. So if you go back through all my images, you realize that every lightning is coming from one source.
Right. And that's the, sunrise and sunset, morning and
Yeah.
evening,
Yeah.
happiness, sadness. It's a theme. Um,
Yeah.
the entire universe working in duality and in tandem with each other. That is incredible. That is, oh my goodness. Juliet, hi. She says, cross lightning. We learn something new every day. I tell you,
Yeah.
we just learn something new every day. And Auntie Dory says, you're wiser than your years. How old are you? We're not telling that on the internet now. See me in chambers, please. Just see me in chambers. Michael, don't let people wonder at your incredible ageness. He's a
Yeah.
grandfather, I really in spirit and in calmness is incredible. Here is Aboya.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm here. So this one I really, really enjoyed creating. And this I shot in Nzulezu. I don't know if you've been to
I
Nzulezu.
haven't been, but I've heard. Yes, I look
So
forward to being.
so my first time going to Nzulezu, I found it really interesting because I realized that they all decided to stay on water. And I had so many questions like why did you choose to stay on water when the land is like really close? Like I had all those questions. So when I got there, I asked the questions, I got answers. But one thing that I found really interesting is because they're on water, the kids over there, they had really a very different way of expressing and playing and having fun. So they would jump into the water, dive in, and you would not see anything anymore. So it's
It would
like
just be
silent.
still water.
Exactly. Then you ask questions like, "Hey, where is he gone? Should we be should we be bothered? Should we be worried?" So I was actually standing in the water, and then all of a sudden, I think there's a point where you can stand if you go deep inside,
Mhm.
and then there were like water lilies and all that around. So I was standing in, and then one of the guys, I think three of them or four of them, they dived in, and then for a while it was silent, and then all of a sudden someone comes and is touching my legs to freak me out, and then they come out laughing that it was them, and then they go back inside. So I found that really interesting, really expressive, really true to who you are, regardless of where you find yourself. How there was beauty in there, regardless of the mindset you go there with, because it's not that they choose to be there, they feel more at home over there,
Mhm.
and they express themselves the best over there. So I had to capture this and tell that story in a sense that wherever you find yourself, be it low or high, you're there for a reason, and you should never be ungrateful but use that moment to the best of your ability and express who you are. And that's exactly.
Oh my God.
So I titled this Free Soul, expressing the soul, which is more than the outer expression of what we look like,
I
but
tell
more of
you,
what we
it
look
looks
like.
like a watercolor painting. This
Yeah,
is why
I
I am
get that a
so
lot.
enamored. And also, it feels to me as though they popped out of the water one at a time,
Yeah,
almost playfully.
yeah,
And
yeah.
the color of their teeth, the look that guy over on the left with his eyebrows just kind of perfectly stacked up. You know,
Yeah,
it's oh my God. Oh my God.
it was a
This
really
I
beautiful
am
moment.
say again?
It was a very beautiful moment, and
Yes.
because of that, because of this, it actually made Inzulezu my favorite place. And because driving over there is like 8 hours go, 8 hours come, I've been there like 4 times. Sometimes not even to shoot, just to go
To
there and
go.
yeah, just to go there and just like
Wow.
really learn something new again.
So I'm telling you, to my younger self, we're a bunch of very curious persons. So here goes producer. She says, "Do you carry your camera everywhere you go?" Because I can imagine that with your mind tuned to finding beauty everywhere, you'd have to. So do you carry your camera everywhere you go?
No, I
Wow.
believe that creating, for me, creating isn't always capturing every single thing you see,
Mm,
but first of all appreciating it and understanding it as well.
mm,
Because I've been at places where it's been so beautiful, like Kenya, for example. I've seen the Maasai's, but and I saw a whole lot of stuff that I could have captured, but because I really did not understand and I needed to ask questions, I did not
mm.
photograph, and I went places without my camera so I can ask questions. I did not photograph because for me that's the first
That's the
point
first
of
step.
creation is to
Wow.
understand, and then after understanding, then you are in a better position to tell the story in a way that maintains the dignity of whoever you capture.
He's gonna teach. I think that's something that each and every one of us has to take with us. Don't just go into an environment. You must seek to understand first, and then seek to be a part of the community second. And
Yeah,
only after you've done that and kind of been a part of it, then you can now begin to show them in their own true element. That is incredible. That's incredible. And she says, "I love that answer. Hashtag perspective." And
yeah.
then this would be our last one because, guys, if we had to stay here, you guys, there's one that I saw with this incredibly beautiful woman on a horse. I'm gonna stop. You guys just have to go on his website and please don't just look and wonder. Patronize it. This is for me. I would hang Michael's pictures on my walls as opposed to getting a. And I'm not gonna mention some famous guys' names because but there are options. You know what I mean? And so we're here to tell stories about Africa and Africans' stories, and we see this talent. I am encouraging you, go on there and ask for prints, ask for blow ups so you can have them in. Because you don't know, 50 years from now, somebody is going to come into your room and say, he has an original Aboya. Do you know what that means? I'm going to stop being a hype lady because this one is one of my favorites. And now, after I've spoken to you, um, for an hour 30 minutes and going, I now understand where it comes from. But guys, check this out. Check this out. Hey, it felt like an Independence Day moment with their hands up. I felt like Nkrumah is the one in the middle with the violin going, today the independence of Ghana is eminent, or something like that. But so talk us through a little bit about this particular one. Whew.
So so first of all, this is Songs of Freedom. This is the
Mm.
image that won the best image for 2019. And
Wow. See, I didn't even really know that, and I was thinking Kwame Nkrumah.
yeah, and it
Nice.
was 130,000 participants from around the world, and this one
What?
come yeah, and this came out on top. And before I created this image, I was in a very sunken place, like down, 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 and I really didn't know what to do. My photography wasn't like moving as I
Mm,
had wanted it to, especially going on this route because this is not what you do if you're actually trying to make a living in Ghana.
mm. You have to
So,
put together at least some
yeah,
weddings, so graduation pictures, you know.
yeah, yeah. So, on this very day, I was just lying down, not in my space because I didn't also have a place at then. So I was staying with another fellow photographer, and then all of a sudden on the radio, a music by Bob Marley came up titled "Redemption Song,"
Mhm.
and I wasn't just listening to music that music um the way we normally listen to music. I was paying attention to the lyrics,
Mm.
and there was a part he said we should emancipate ourselves from any form of slavery because none but ourselves can free our minds.
Mm.
And that really inspired me. Initially, the vision I had was a guitar, but with what I've seen and read of a violin, I realized that the violin is an instrument that really expresses the soul.
Mm.
So I felt the best way to really express freeing ourselves from every form of mental, emotional slavery was to use a violin. So before shooting this, we had a training section with the kids.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't want it to be staged or you just give a violin to someone to play. So we had a training section. Every one of them had the opportunity to learn how to play the violin. And
Oh my God.
yeah, and uh, that the guy holding it was the he held it like a old
A
soul,
pro.
almost like he's been here before and he's had the violin before.
Wow.
And
Where was
the
this?
this was Labadi Olympia.
Oh my God.
So the moment I realized that the emotions were set and the violinist, professional violinist, confirmed that he's holding it the right way and all that stuff, we played the same Bob Marley song and just asked him if he can go along with it. So that was him like trying to go along with it and having all those real emotions. And you know how
Emotions.
exactly, and you know
And I see
how
the cross sheet, the cross lighting, and I see how the kids, how they were like just so into it with their hands up in the air, their fists
exactly.
up in the air, really,
Yeah.
and their eyes closed. Oh my goodness.
So I captured this image. I got back. I didn't even have a laptop to edit on, so I edited this on a friend's laptop,
Are you
and
joking me?
I'm serious.
You are joking me. This is
Yeah.
not true.
And then
Wow.
when I finished, I posted it online, and I realized that there was just something strange happening because everyone was connecting to this, especially people from Brazil. So
Mhm.
everyone keep messaging me, telling me that they've been touched by the image. There's something in the image. And at the time, I had 4,000 followers. When I posted it, I woke up the next day with 15,000 from this image.
This is what we call the outlier effect.
Yeah,
Suddenly, all like
yeah.
in a split second, Michael just gained outlier effect. Are
and
you?
uh,
Wow.
and I created this in January 2019, and when I realized this was what was happening, I kind of like felt that okay, if this is that strong, I can participate in an award competition, and
Mm.
if it wins, then I have enough funds to kind of like further in my photography, and also I can give back to the community as well because it wasn't just me, but we all worked together. So when I put it in, I totally forgot about it because it was January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, and then October. I got an email saying that I'm now part of the top three,
Oh my
and
God. Oh my God. Oh
so I'm
Lord.
So I'm like, wait, what? Top three? How did I get here? When did I submit an image? And then I went to check, and it was this one which I had submitted in January. And
Wow.
then in November, it was announced the best image, and I was I was flown to Barcelona for the award ceremony, and it was a really emotional this
Oh
thing
my
because
God.
the day I was going to the airport, I was in a trotro and I was crying.
Are you joking?
Yeah, I was crying, and then the mate was asking for his money and saw me crying. He's like, "Yo, who broke your heart? Like, what's wrong with you?"
You
And
were going to the airport in a trotro.
I was actually going to. So I had gone to the at the embassy to pick up my passport,
Hmm.
and I was worried because I thought I wouldn't get the visa because my bank statement was horrible, and
Phew.
that was like one thing they needed. But then the company in Spain, Barcelona, I think they had their lawyers stand in for me, and then
Oh.
I got the visa. So when I saw and realized that I'd gotten the visa, that was going to be like the first time leaving Ghana, and the first time in my life I actually felt that I've won something that I can like I felt like I'm actually someone. So I was in the church and I couldn't hold it back. So the moment the company heard that I'd received my visa that same day, they got me a ticket to come. So my flight was like 6 p.m. and I was at airport. I was, the Spanish embassies around the airport, somewhere around there. So I had to take Chocho back to Ajingano, and then from Ajingano to the airport. So on my way going back home, I was crying. I couldn't hold back. And then I
Mhm.
called my mother and I told her, and she also started crying.
Oh my
And
God.
and we were all crying. It was just a very beautiful and
Emotional time.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. Oh my God, Michael. It's such an emotional time. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm crying. Like I'm trying very hard to hold it because then y'all will just see dark circles and mascara and everything. We don't want that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Auntie Doris is being funny, but I also know she's being serious. She says, placing my application at Zoe's door, position for Michael's mother, my mother to Michael. I think that my younger self family has just adopted you, Michael. This is incredible. The comments that are coming is that Juliet says, wow, violin versus guitar. That's incredible. And it does make a difference in that picture. It really does make a difference. Ijodi says, you really put thought and work into your craft. And that's what I love about you, Aboya. You just don't go out there and just point and shoot and say, "Ooh, look at flurries and snow. Ooh, look at the way this person is sitting." You're
Yeah.
actually planning it. So when you bring out your camera, you already know what it is you're going to be doing. When we were doing the dry run and I said it could be 45 minutes to about an hour, what do you think we've done so far? We're an hour 43 minutes in and it's not relenting because people are just so enamored with your work.
Thank you.
Yiga Solomon Apua, who is also a native Kusal tongue storyteller based in Paris, and she says, I think she just wants to say, wow, wow. But listen, her phone just says World War II, wow, meaning this is the big boom, wow.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
It is incredible, incredible, incredible. I just wanted to go through a few of the comments that are coming here, just so you see how enamored you've just I know the maid said, "Who broke your heart?" God did. God just overwhelmed him with such greatness. And Vanessa says Ghana is really sleeping on his talent. Yes, and that's why I'm so glad that Aboya got we got connected, and we're able to bring him onto my younger self, and hopefully we're able to create collaborations with other storytellers who've come through to my younger self, who are artists themselves, who are teachers themselves, who are, just incredible people who are able to network with Aboya themselves, so that we are not sleeping on this talent. That's one thing I do have to speak on. Ghana does sleep on talent way too often. Okay, it had to take a person in another country to put someone like Paul Ninson on the map. It had to take Brazilians to put Aboya on the map. It took a few other people who are not in Ghana to put someone like Avonzige on the map. What are we doing aside politics in Ghana? This, if we want to succeed as a continent, as a country, art is it. Okay, the greatest inventor in the universe is God. And the word we have given God, or God has given himself, is what? Creator. We cannot sleep on this. And so I am appealing to you guys. Let's create networks and collaborations. And this is another reason why I'm saying, when I get to Ghana, man, I am looking you up, Avonzi, all you guys that are just young and creatives. You are the backbone of Ghana moving forward. There is no end ifs and buts about it. Politics will not do anything. It doesn't matter who is in government, whether it's VSW or XYZ party, it matters not. All they would do is talk. But the real guns that are coming, the backbone of the nation, is the Aboyas of the world. And I, for one, I'm just glad that one, famous by proxy, don't ask me for his number, but I got it. I'm just saying, and I can just kind of hit him up and just, I'm joking, but you know what I mean. Marian says, amazing. I've got goosebumps. Aboya, you really came for us today. And I don't think people really want to leave, but I think we have to take leave of you because the guy is busy. Okay. To create work like this. So here's what I'm going to do. How about we kind of read some closing cues, or else we're going to go up to 2 hours. I did promise Aboya we're not going to go to 2 hours. But as I was talking about helping each other and collaborating in that true fashion, what To My Younger Self does is we believe that there is enough room at the top for every one of us, especially all creatives, so that if Aboya is doing well, there should be another young person he's able to bring alongside him, so that his talent and his eye and his wisdom does not just go with him when the creator calls him back home. In that true fashion, we want you to patronize a few people all around Africa and Ghana for that matter. I want you to patronize Where Ghana, right? Humanity Chats by Margie Marge. She goes live every Thursday here. Kua Designs, Music for Your Quality Feet, of course, by Uncle A Coffee Show. Collateral, M. Sims by Mabel Simpson. Ryle by Design, based in Nyack, New York, a Kenyan designer. Avonzige Bridal. I'm always talking to you about Avonzige, and she was here last week. Another incredibly talented young lady. I'm actually now thinking Aboya and Avonzige have to probably do a piece together. I don't know. Okay, but you saw what Avonzige could do and is still doing, and you've seen what Michael is doing. Do you think I've got something there? I think Keys and Credo by Nana Sapong, Horseman Shoes, Caveman Watches, Kelm Beads, Rachel Dodu's company, which, please, producer, if you can just remind me, another incredible woman that is doing incredible things out of Gastonia over here. there's just so many people. Kunda Kids, Book Nook by Nana Redamwa and Kofi Akpagbili. I've been reminded to say it right, is Akpagbili, okay? To our monthly donors, Jane Fiorito, of course, Auntie Rose Machayo, Auntie B, Shara McFarlane. There's just so many of you. We cannot mention all of your names. Auntie Araba, all of you guys who just every month consistently, committedly, without even batting an eyelid, send some funds our way so we can keep telling stories. We are very, very grateful. Now, something exciting is happening on To My Younger Self. We have a roving storyteller out there in Ghana and Africa, so to speak, and she's going to be a surprise to us. Well, not to us, the team, but to you. I wanted to tell you her name today, but you know what? How about we do a competition? If you're able to guess right the name of our storytelling ambassador, or the roving storytelling ambassador, or the roving storytelling curator in Ghana, you'll win something. So applications are open, okay? Put it in the comment section. Who do you think is going to be our storytelling ambassador coming out of Ghana? A few people are saying, Reverend Jesse says, Aboya to the world. Bring it on, Lord. Hey, Aboya,
Thank
you
you.
have people praying for you all of a sudden. They're speaking in tongues. I believe it. I really, really do. Hanatu, my big sister here, she says, Zoe, you just took read my mind. Aboya plus Avonzige. See, I wasn't the one. I'm not the only one. Aboya plus
Yeah.
Avonzige collabo. Fire, fire, fire. Ah, yes. Those of you who are saying Aboya for president, I say no. Because this man's mind cannot just be put in a little box of politics. I'm sorry. It's just not possible. What do you say?
I agree. I
Thank
agree.
you. See? So it looks like someone sent us a question, and she is our communication director put it on here. She says, a question for Michael. Do you do individual photo shoots, a personal or for a ceremony? I want to say no. I'm answering for him, but let me ask him.
No, you're actually right. But
Mhm.
then I do them, not ceremony though, but
Mhm.
personal,
Mhm.
especially something that goes in the line of like pre-wedding,
Mhm.
where I can plan a story and
Mhm.
a story on love and
Mhm.
then put that into an image.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
something that I've done several times.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
See, pre-wedding, don't be calling a boy out and say you have a wedding coming up or your 5-year-old's birthday. When we're not saying those things are not art either, they are, and they're people's livelihood, and we're not looking down on it at all. We're just saying that when a person has found their calling, we need to be careful how we kind of interpret that calling. I've had the same thing where people say, hey, Zoe, don't you want to write movies? And I would say, I do write, but I am not a great script writer. And I wouldn't denigrate that profession by taking it upon myself to write. Or, hey, Zoe, I'm doing a program. Can you come and do a shoot? It's not my talent. And so when I'm saying no, people are like, oh, you're throwing money away. I'm not. I just know my place in the grand scheme of things, and not being a jack or a Jacqueline of all trades. And that's what Aboya is doing. And that's why I'm so enamored by him. Aboya, what an incredible time we've had with you.
Same here.
Listen, I'm going to ask you to do one thing for me. Don't let this fire die. And every time you happen to be in that little space of darkness, in fact, I do believe that every artist has that little part of them that is gonna always be emotionally dark. It comes with being an artist. But when that time comes and you just need someone who understands, or a group of people who understand, your To My Younger Self family is right here. And you
Thank
have my number.
Thank you.
So just reach out and say, listen, you can call me Big Sis, Auntie. No, don't call me Auntie. I'm not that old. But Big Sis or, I don't know, Zoe is also good. Or Baraka. I'm in a dark space. I don't know what to do. And I'll make you laugh and you'll be okay. And you'll go on your merry way.
Sure.
Okay?
Thank you.
What is
Thank
the
you.
last thing you want to tell us or the audience or any young person that is watching? What is your last statement?
My last statement, in line with everything that I have said, is one, to trust the process and to also be who you are and explore who you are and how you can inspire people by embracing that. But most importantly, do not go on a different path that God did not place you on, and do not go so far from God, because at the end of the day, He's the one that has blessed us with the gifts that we have. And regardless of whatever we go through, doesn't really mean that He's not with us. They are all happening for a reason, so that at the end of our days, we have a more complete and fulfilled life, and a life that people can look at and learn from, and also be on the right path. Because in today's world, which is a world that is constantly trying to make us someone else, the one thing that we all need is just an inspiration to be ourselves and to inspire others to do same.
He
Thank
has spoken like a true grandfather, man of just incredible wisdom, endowed with God's wisdom. I am extremely proud of you, and I am so glad that our paths have crossed as you know the universe and God intended it to be. Michael, God bless you. Keep winning. I am looking forward to just seeing you on bright lights. Has anyone have you noticed that this year God has just brought us a lot of incredibly talented and gifted young people? I'm always saying that in Africa right now, about 85% of the population of Africa is less than 25 years old. They are the future. We're gone. We're ancestors.
Yeah.
We have to learn how to work with them, and we have to learn how to get them to the place where 50 years from now, when people say Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Senegal, any part of the world, it'd be a good thing. Okay, Michael, so much love for you. I'm gonna put my favorite picture up here as we close and roll up our credits. I'll see you on the backside. Thank you again. My name is Zoe Baraka. Thank you for watching us on To My Younger Self. Next week, we're here with the Author's Corner with the incredible Elizabeth Irene Beatty. You will not be disappointed, I promise. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Kaja Israel, Kaja Egypt, Kaja Ethiopia, Kaja Sudan, Waja Shong. Kaja Ikushima, Wani me kona me Waja Shong. So Timbuktu, Ghana, Mali, Sumanguru, Waja Shong. Waja Waja Shong. Manchester, no Sumanguru, walk where Waja Shong.